Hello, and welcome to Marketing Unzipped, the podcast that breaks down complex marketing concepts into practical, actionable insights. I'm Rob Curtis, and today we're diving deep into a fascinating topic. It sits at the intersection of psychology and marketing. It's the art of persuasion. So before we begin, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered why some marketing campaigns seem to speak directly to your soul, while others they fade into that background noise, right? Today, we're going to uncover the psychology behind that difference. And firstly, we want to consider the neuroscience of persuasion. So understanding the subconscious mind. So let's start with something a bit more sci-fi-esque, but it is very much our reality today, which is neuromarketing. Straight away, I know what you're thinking. Rob, it sounds complicated. My head already hurts, but stick with me on it because understanding this could transform how you approach everything about your marketing strategy. Just imagine being able to understand exactly what your customers feel when they interact with your brand. Not what they say they feel, but what they actually feel inside. And that's what neuromarketing allows us to do. There's some crazy advanced technology like fMRI scanning and AI analysis, and we can observe essentially now how the brain responds to different marketing stimuli. I was reading a study a couple of weeks back that showed that when people see a price first, followed by the product, their brain's pain centers activate more strongly than when they see the product first, followed by the price. And this simple insight has revolutionized just how so many e-commerce sites structure their product pages. And when we start to anticipate them or to understand things like this, if you haven't explored these things step by step, the penny's going to drop for you. You'll begin to consider some of those cognitive biases in marketing that we've been able to lean into. So things like the anchoring effect. So when a new service is launched, we can strategically place premium package first, making the standard package seem more attractive. Because actually what we've done is by pricing, having three options, we have price 1, which is our low value price 2, which is our middle, and price 3, which is our top tier range of X, Y, or Z. The same psychology in that happens where if we give somebody 2 options, they're going to go for the cheapest one. Whereas we give people 3 options, they can begin to distinguish, actually, I don't want the cheap one. The top end's a bit out of my bracket. This one in the middle sits right. This is where I feel I'm going to get most value. And then there's things like loss aversion. So people feel the pain of losing something twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. And things like the scarcity principle, which is the limited time offers. They work because our brains are wired to value things that are harder to obtain. But here's where we need to tread really carefully in this space, because with great power comes great responsibility. And as marketers, we have an ethical obligation to use these insights to enhance customer experience and not manipulate it. And the goal is to help customers make best decisions, not to trick them into making decisions they'll regret. One of my favorite examples of ethical neuromarketing comes from a small UK-based skincare brand. They use eye tracking studies to understand how customers read their product labels. Instead of using this information to hide important information, they redesigned their packaging to make crucial ingredients and usage instructions even more prominent. And what's that going to do? That's going to benefit the end consumer, which is going to easily decrease customer service inquiries and increase satisfaction because you know what you're signing up for, you know what you'll get. So now we start to understand the brain science. It's just the foundation. And what really brings all this together is how we use these insights in storytelling. And let's explore how emotional storytelling has evolved and why it's more powerful than ever. It's the cornerstone of modern marketing, in my opinion. Here's something interesting. Some recent research shows us stories are up to 22 times more memorable than facts alone. But here's the kicker. We're not just telling stories, we're crafting emotional journeys. We have to think about that shift from the traditional persuasion-based advertising to emotion-driven narratives. It's been absolutely remarkable. Especially in the last decade, I feel that it's just compounded more and more and more. And think about the last advertisement that genuinely moved you. I bet it wasn't one shouting about features and benefits, the sale, all that kind of noise. There was probably one that actually made you feel something. And that's where we can start thinking about the 3 pillars of emotional storytelling. So number 1, authenticity. So today's consumers can spot manufactured emotion from an absolute mile away. Your story needs to be genuine and aligned with your brand values. Number 2 is relevance. So your narrative must connect with your audience's real life experiences and challenges. And then thirdly, resolution. Every story needs to lead your audience to a clear, emotionally satisfying conclusion. And some of the most powerful ways you can do this in today's world of content is video. And of course, yes, the written word, the blogs, the content, what you spend hours crafting, and video is so, so powerful. You can share and show so much more authenticity in who you are and what you're communicating. And the results of this, even for different businesses we're working with, they're absolutely incredible. And it's a joy to watch. So we think, yeah, that's great. Let's create video. So about what? And for me, I think you need to start thinking about your emotional marketing framework. Let's put a framework on it. It's always the nicest one to do. So identify your core emotional triggers, develop character-driven narratives, create multi-channel storytelling experiences, measure the emotional impact through the engagement metrics. 4 steps there, which I can delve off into later on or another session, but that gives you such a powerful starting point to be able to go and ask yourself those questions of how you can begin to create a piece of content like that. So thinking just your core emotional triggers. So this can align really plain and simply back to your brand values and for your own personal values. And then what we're doing is we're communicating a story, a scenario that's happened. And that could be you down the line talking to a video, to your phone, or it could be a crafted piece of content without you even involved. It could be simple things like success stories, customer feedback, and stuff like that. We can take a user on the journey. But this is where it all gets really interesting, because we're not just telling static stories. We're creating dynamic narratives that adapt in real time. And we can start embracing things like AI in this space and how we can really revolutionize that customer engagement. And this is the chance to welcome yourself to the era where every customer interaction can be uniquely tailored. I've talked about this quite a lot, and I feel it's so important. We want this to be feeling completely natural. That AI-powered personalization isn't just about showing different ads to different people. It's about creating entire customer journeys that adapt to real time. So I'll break it down with a practical example. Imagine you're running an online clothing store. Traditional personalization might show customers' items based on their past purchases. Nice and simple, easily done. But today's AI systems can predict what customers might need before they even know they need it. If a customer recently bought winter boots, the AI doesn't just recognize and suggest more boots. It might recognize the winter accessories typically follow boot purchases and adjust the entire customer journey accordingly. So there's lots in this step here that's quite excited, that quite excites me. But we can think about the predictive analytics that come out the back end of that. So we can start guesstimating with our sites. Has this worked or has it not in different product categories, for example? But it also, even more excitedly, gives us real-time content adaptations. So we can adjust messaging, we can adjust offers, all those pieces around that user's behavior. So what we really want to think about before I run down all of the rabbit holes of the tech, the nerd, the privacies, is how we can consider that power of the social proof comparing with psychology. We'll try again. I just talked about video and the power of that for social proof. So let's talk about that fundamental human, yet completely drastically evolved in the past few years. And that concept of social proof is transformed far beyond just a simple testimonial on the 5-star reviews. Think about this. When was the last time you made a purchase without checking what others had to say about it first? Social proof has become so ingrained in our decision-making process that it's practically unconscious. We see this all the time, scrolling your own TikToks, where the ability to get into a TikTok shop based off of some random person, the multiple volume of people sharing a product that they like, and the ability to go there and transact. But if we look even more excitingly into the future, we can see elements like virtual influencers, and we're seeing AI-generated personalities with millions of followers already. And the fascinating part, studies show that audiences trust them almost as much as human influencers when they're transparent about their artificial nature. And that to me seems absolutely insane if I'd been talking about this 5 years ago. But now we've got a fantastic opportunity for this. But even other things like the micro-influencer networks, to me, I think the power of personal brand is scaling far further than the Kardashians, than these big influencers in the movie stars. But what we're becoming more interested in is the influencers in the area that we're interested in. So I love all sorts of softwares, tools, products, AI. I don't just going to want to see a random person trying to sell me this product as a celebrity. I want to see somebody that's engaged in this community, that's giving me value, that's got credibility to demonstrate this to me as well. And to have those small, kind of highly engaged communities led by authentic voices, that's where the value really, really is. And even to the point of things like real-time social validation. And that's where you can have like live shopping experiences where viewers can see real-time purchase decisions. So think about this, QVC and all those pieces have been around for years. We're just adapting this even further now. That's why TikTok Lives, for example, is a great shopping platform at the moment. But I can see this blossoming out further and further and further into different scenarios. And just because they're two platforms that I've mentioned, there's already the ability to go live on most platforms you can. So if there's a space where you feel that engagement and that opportunity of that live shopping experience there, go and test it. So it's all well and good that we can create and communicate with our audience with so much more value, really being able to correctly pull on their heartstrings, to be able to give them that emotional feeling, to entice them to work with us, to buy our product, to sign up to our service, whatever it is. But we really want to think about is how do they become customers? And this is everything we've discussed so far leads to that crucial moment. It's converting the attention into action. And conversion optimization has become both an art and a science, empowered by psychological triggers and data-driven insights. So we want to think about some of the essential elements of these psychological triggers to get those conversions. So think about urgency without pressure. So to me, what that looks like is creating genuine time sensitivity while respecting the customer's decision-making process. So it's not just a case of, we've got 10 products left, but there is a warehouse full of them, so this will carry on. And it almost offers a bit of a joke to a brand like a DFS, for example, where they've consistently got a sale on, but they've been around that long and been so institutionalized in the process, we all know there's always a deal there to be had. But imagine if they worked like a more supreme brand and only had so many products. And when we think in the e-commerce and the clothing and the trainer space, for example, jewelry, all these sorts of things, you see how these micro-influencers are having drops of their own brands. So they may only have 50 of that t-shirt available, 5 in various different sizes. All of a sudden, that urgency is there because there's only so many. And then there's other things as well. We want to think about the timing of these things, how we deliver our calls to action at the moments of peak engagement. So we're coming away from, hi, nice to meet you. Are you ready to buy from me? Versus I've generated your trust. I've generated relationship. You're feeling emotionally attached to one another now in this sales process. Are you ready to buy? Seeking an element of that permission. They're showing the positive signs. Now, instead of trying to ram a sale down their throat, the conversations naturally evolve, and we can manage that from a digital perspective as well, which is really exciting. And then there's things like friction reduction. So identifying and removing those psychological barriers in the customer's journey. So again, to me, one of the powerful things in that is how we answer the questions they may think about asking, that we can see common trends that our previous customers or previous clients have already asked. What can we do to make that process to sale as smooth as possible? And here's something really fascinating. You know the good old traditional buy now button? It's become less effective because we see it everywhere. And today's consumers respond much better to what we call a journey-aligned CTA, which is a calls to action for those of you that don't know, that match their current stage in the decision-making process. For instance, discover your perfect fit converts much better than buy now for first-time visitors. So I can't mention the company, but let's take a look at this example of a business in the software, so SaaS industry, where we were having some challenges with their trial conversion rates. So instead of the standard free trial button, we tested a 2-step approach. See how it works, followed by Try it yourself. This simple change, aligned with a customer's psychological need for understanding before commitment, increased conversions almost by 50%. And this was very early in the process, so it wasn't 1,000 to 1,500. If I said it was from 50 to 75, I'd be a lot closer. But just by making that change without funneling more traffic up top, we were able to increase that conversion rate. And to me, the key to that successful conversion optimization isn't just about testing button colors or headline variations. It's about understanding the psychological journey your customers are on and meeting them at each step with exactly what they need. So as we wrap up today's deep dive into marketing psychology, I have a question for you. What's the most emotionally compelling marketing campaign you've encountered recently? And why did it resonate with you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast. And the insights we've explored today, from neuromarketing to AI-powered personalization, are really just the beginning. The key is to implement these strategies thoughtfully and ethically. Most importantly, keep your customers' best interests at heart. I'd love to ask you one small favor. If you found any value in today's episode, please be so kind as to share it with just one friend who you think might benefit from these insights. Your share could help another business owner transform their entire marketing approach. Until next time, I'm Rob Curtis, and this has been Marketing Unzipped. Remember, effective marketing isn't about manipulating emotions. It's about creating genuine connections that resonate with both head and heart.